Hi, welcome back to the UKMFA TV broadcasts. And my name is Ian Humphreys, and today we're talking to Robert Partin. Now, Robert has a very harrowing story to tell us about the death of his wife following her being injected with the intervention for COVID. We're still absolutely not sure, to be perfectly honest, whether this was the cause of a cancer that she developed. So I want to be clear about that because we haven't yet got the full evidence, although, as you will hear from the interview, that evidence is being sought, and we will catch up with him again to find out where we are at that stage. But for now, let's have a chat with Rob and find out the full story so far. Welcome to another broadcast by the UK Medical Freedom Alliance, the UK's most recognised and respected organisation advocating for every individual's right to informed consent, bodily autonomy and medical choice. We are the UK's voice of ethical medicine. Rob, thanks so much for coming on to UKMFA TV. Really grateful for you giving us our time. It's a harrowing subject, I know, and believe me, if you need to take a break at any time, please do that. But it's very important, I think, that we get your story out there so that people understand exactly what people are going through in this country, and not just this country, around the world. And we've had an inquiry. Obviously, you are going to have some thoughts about that inquiry that has just taken place, and it'd be really interesting to hear your feedback on that. But why don't we just start, first of all, who is Rob? What are you about generally?
Thank you so much for having me on, Ian. It's so kind of you. My name's Rob. I'm a single dad now to Lennon and Bobby. We've got Bobby, who is 2, and Lennon, who is 5. Their mummy passed away March last year. Obviously, and I'll explain my story now, what happened.
Yeah, please. Yeah, take us through the timeline, and I may interrupt you here and there just to make some, for clarity purposes. But the floor's yours, Rob. You take it away.
Thank you. So me and Rachel met in 2016. I'll just go right back to the start, but I'll only do it briefly. 2016. We had Lennon in 2019. Completely in love. We were in love with Lennon. Everything was fine. We're just moved into a house, put an extension on it and everything. Life was looking great, as I'd say. Rachel's mum helped us, with the extension and that. And then what happened was Rachel fell pregnant with Bobby. Everything was fine. There was no problems at all. Life was great. And then what happened was on the 25th of September, she kept getting bugged to get a booster. You need to get your booster. You need to get your booster. And I was really sceptical of it. I didn't want to. Was this in
2021? I guess, was it?
This is the booster was 25th of September, 2022.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So 25th, but everything. Rachel had 2 AstraZenecas because we wanted to go on holiday, and so had I. That's the reason why we got the original vaccines, and being good for the community and all of that, we sort of fell for that part of it.
All right, well, let's just talk about that for a second, because I think that's majorly important, because the why, I think, is key to a lot of this, and where things have probably gone very seriously wrong. So when you heard there was a pandemic going around, so it's fair to say that you both responded in probably what you thought was a positive way, given the information that you've been provided. Is that right?
Absolutely. And what happened was I was off work. I couldn't work. I've always worked all my life, but because of the lockdown I was off work. So it's me, Rachel and Lennon. And then Rachel, my mum's got an autoimmune condition, so she was a bit wary of it. And to be fair, I wasn't worried about the vaccine. I heard a lot of noise about it, but I thought, if it protects my mum from getting anything from us and we can see her, we'll get it. So Rachel had the first one. Then I become a bit more sceptical, but then pressure from my mum, my family, to get it, because obviously you couldn't pass it on, so they said, didn't they? Right. So then we both had the first one, but then the second one we got because we wanted to go on holiday in November, and you couldn't travel without it, could you? So me and Rachel got the second AstraZeneca to go on holiday in October that year. So that's why we done it, if that makes sense.
Well, no, it does. So basically, given the information that you were provided, you thought the only way we can go on holiday is to take these injections.
Exactly, and also to spend Christmas with my mum, who's got an autoimmune condition. Do you understand? I was still wary of it back then, but I just thought, you know, just do it. Just do it. You know, it's the right thing to do. The propaganda behind it and everything. You know, I was completely not pro the vaccine, but just get it done. Let's get life back to normal. That's more what my head was at.
Well, I guess the whole thing about safe and effective was drummed into you, I guess. Safe and effective, and that's what annoyed me about the code when I went to the inquiry. They're like, "Oh no, we didn't say it was fully safe. We never said that." Chris Whitty and Van Tam said that. It made me feel pregnant people. You know, pregnant women shouldn't have got the vaccine. They started saying stuff like that when I'm sitting there. So it was infuriating. It obviously made me very angry. Sure. Well, we'll get on to the inquiry, and I promise you we'll cover all that when if we can stick to the timeline a bit. But
of course.
I think the important thing is for me is that the reasons you took the vaccine.
Yeah.
And also what you were told at the time when you attended the centre or wherever you attended to go and get this shot. And what you were told at the time and what information you were given, that would be really interesting to know.
I can't remember any information. I can't remember anything, Ian. I remember queuing up to get it. I can't remember anything. I can't remember. Obviously, it was all a bit of a blur. But I didn't get told it wasn't, it's dangerous. And like they were saying, I know we're talking about the inquiry, but the COVID inquiry, they're saying like, no, it was never safe. I never got told it wasn't safe when I queued up to get it in my arm. Neither did Rachel.
Were you told it was experimental?
No, not at all. Not gene therapy, nothing like that. Which, as you can imagine, after what I've been through now, it's infuriating looking back.
And were you given any written information at the time?
No, I can't remember it, no. And neither did Rachel.
And anything about side effects?
No, nothing. Nothing at all.
Did you get the 15-minute wait afterwards to see whether you had a reaction?
On the second one I did. On the second one, but not the first one. I just walked out.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot there to unpack in a way, but you know, we don't have to focus on it too heavily. But it's quite clear that you didn't give informed consent because you were not given the information at the time. No,
absolutely not. Hindsight, what the hell was I doing, Ian? What was I doing? And that's why I beat myself up. I should have protected Rachel from it. I was sceptical, Ian, but I just thought, I was getting a lot of pressure from every angle sort of thing. Why would you not get it? I caved in, really, which I'm very annoyed about.
Well, it's history, and you know you're a human being, and we're all susceptible to this stuff. You know, it's not you as an individual. That it's millions of people have gone down the same path.
Well, never again, Ian. Never ever again. Never ever again will I let it happen. My second son's got his vaccinations coming up. He's not having them. They've been sending me letters through the post. They've done this to me. Lennon's fully vaccinated. And my oldest son's autistic, Lennon, but these things happen. But my youngest son isn't autistic and he's unvaccinated. I'm not connecting any dots there at all. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, but there's no way I can trust any injection going in my son.
I understand. Yeah. Okay, so you were both took your first and then a subsequent booster.
Yeah, well, the second one was so we could go on holiday in November to Mallorca. Because you couldn't travel without. That's the only reason we got that second one.
Okay. And that was in September 22.
That was in September 21.
Right.
September 20. Sorry, I messed up. Yeah, September 21 was when we got the second dose of AstraZeneca, so we could go on holiday in October.
Right. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what happened after that.
So then what happened? We went on holiday. Everything was fine with our lives. Rachel fell pregnant. She fell pregnant straight away. We were very lucky. We moved into a house, put an extension on. Life was looking great. Rachel was pregnant, about 5 months pregnant. There was no problems. But then what happened was they were really bugging her to get the booster. the COVID booster, I mean, beyond belief. It was like, sorry to turn my phone off here. It was from every angle she was getting it. The doctors, the midwives, the nurses. And I was like, I don't think you should get it, Rach.
This is a subsequent booster.
Yes. So yeah, and this was a Moderna booster she had during pregnancy.
Right, so she's already had 2 AstraZenecas.
I had 2, and this is the 3rd one. I only had 2, but because what happened was, Ian, as well, we got given a bit of paper from the doctors, and it was something like, the figures were something like, you're 8 times more likely to give birth to a stillbirth if you get COVID. You're 6 times more likely to have a birth deformity if you get COVID during pregnancy. So Rachel read that and then immediately thought, I've got to get the booster.
Right.
As you would, 'cause she wanted to protect Bobby. So it made sense. This is September, 25th of September. Everything was fine. I didn't want her to get it, but she did, and I could understand why. With figures like that, Ian, why would you not? Then we looked on the internet, and it was like another figure was 700% chance of like something going wrong with a baby. It was real bad. Why would you not get the booster with them sort of figures? So then Rachel got the booster, and then everything just went downhill from that. She was so ill, Ian. I mean, the most ill I've ever seen any human. She was sick she couldn't stop being sick. She couldn't look after Lennon. I had to have loads of time off work. She went seriously downhill. I mean, big time. Now, I looked at her medical records, and it coincides because she called the doctors about 3 weeks later after the booster saying how ill she was. Keeps vomiting, severe stomach pains. She was, I mean, it was so bad. But everyone just put it down to pregnancy. Even me. We just thought it was the end of pregnancy. She was ill.
How soon after the booster did she start to feel ill?
It was probably about 2 weeks, I'd say. She wasn't right after it, but things went seriously downhill at about 2 weeks. And then she called the doctors at 3 weeks. But for Rachel to call the doctors means she was really ill. She didn't call the doctors. And she was so ill, honestly, like the most ill I've ever seen anyone. But everyone just put it down to the pregnancy. I appreciate that. And what happened also with Rachel, she couldn't wear a bra. It was that painful, like in that area there, that she couldn't wear a bra, the poor girl.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I was thinking. But everyone just thought it was just the end of pregnancy. This happens. She went to the doctors. She had iron transfusions. All of that. They weren't sure what it was. And then she gave birth to Bobby. Everything was fine. Bobby was healthy. And then what happened was when we come back from paternity leave, she just slept all the time. I had 2 weeks off and she just slept the whole 2 weeks. She was up for 5 minutes and slept. She still couldn't put a bra on, which was obviously not right. And then she went to I'd just finished paternity leave. Then she went to the doctors, and then they found out it was stage 4 bowel cancer.
Wow.
And it was but the difference, the videos, the problem is, sometimes I think, it's all in my head, but Professor Angus Dalgleish and James Royal, they're saying what happened to Rachel. And the timeline, I've got videos on my phone of Rachel painting the ceiling before she got that booster. Rachel at the park with Lennon, going down slides with him. That wasn't possible after that booster. She went so downhill.
Find out more about the UK Medical Freedom Alliance on our website. That's at ukmedfreedom.org. That's ukmedfreedom.org, where you'll find all the information you need around open letters, our campaigns, our legal template letters, and of course, even these podcasts. You'll find details of the latest one, and you'll be able to access the previous ones too via the links there. Find out more about our team. Sign up for our newsletter. It's all there. And you can even donate too. So I suppose it's what's being described now then as a turbo cancer.
Turbo cancer. Like I say, I'm connected with a man called David Plummer, and we're connected to 5 other dads, and all their wives died similar to Rachel. The similar timeline, similar vaccines, and all of them died similar. But turbo cancer, that's the word used.
Yes. But
that's definitely what happened. She went so downhill. And with them figures that she got, how could she not get that booster? If anything had happened to Bobby inside her, she wouldn't have lived with herself, neither would have I.
Sure. Yeah. So So the cancer's discovered. What did they do then? How were they going to treat
the cancer's discovered. It was pure, as you can imagine, pure hell. Getting told she had stage 4 bowel cancer, going in to see the surgeon. I don't know what we thought, but we just didn't think it was going to be cancer. Stage 4 bowel cancer. We had a 2-week-old, Lennon's, who's autistic, who was 4, and then obviously Rachel, who's severely ill. It was absolute nightmare juggling all 3 of them. My amazing mum took Bobby on from 2 weeks, basically.
Wow.
Bobby would just come home in dribs and drabs so he could be... Because I couldn't look at... Rachel was, really ill. Then she managed to make it to chemo. It was just palliative chemo. That's the only thing on offer. But what happened was Rachel didn't want to know anything. She didn't want to know anything about the scans, how bad it was. Rachel didn't want to know anything. She didn't want me to know anything. So we went to the cancer centre, and then chemo started. And I didn't have a clue what chemo was or what it done. I haven't stopped researching cancer since Rachel got diagnosed. But it was pure hell. What that poor girl went through for the chemo, it was so bad. And juggling Bobby, Lennon and Rachel in this house was impossible. It was so hard. She was so brave with it. But basically, the doctors told us, the doctors told us it's not good. When we found out about the news, they said, it's palliative chemo, that's it. It's a miracle, because since I've seen her scans, I didn't see him until after she died. It's a miracle she made it even to the chemo. On the report they done, they couldn't see any of her liver. It was fully black.
Wow.
She was literally it's a miracle, Ian, that she was even walking around.
And she's a very young woman.
She died at 34.
That's,
yeah.
Terrible.
Bless her. Poor girl, and the suffering she went through. So then obviously chemo started. And I was on my journey, I've been up and down, cancer treatment is a con, all of this. Why did Rachel have chemo? But after seeing her scans, Rachel had to have chemo. There is because she was her liver was gone.
Yeah.
And then chemo started, juggling Rachel, the boys, it was impossible. But the main thing was Rachel was alive, that's all we cared about. And then what happened was we had a first scan. The first scan was amazing. It had all gone down loads. Me and Rachel still didn't really know how bad it was because Rachel didn't want to know. But when we went into the room, everyone in the room was crying other than me and Rachel. That shows how good the scan was. We were doing alternative stuff as well along with it. I spoke to some doctors in America. So that first scan was amazing. Great news, over the moon. But then we had a 5-week break, which wasn't a good idea. Then Rachel got a bowel blockage in where her primary tumour was. She got a bowel blockage because I didn't know at the time, but chemo makes the cancer more aggressive, doesn't it? It calms it down. It might shrink the tumour, but the stem cells feeding the tumour get more aggressive. So then Rachel had 5 weeks. Then she had a tumour blockage. Bless her. She had a bowel blockage. That was really bad. In complete agony. She was screaming. Then she had to have 9 weeks off treatment. So Rachel in turn had 16 weeks off chemo. And then what happened was she had a stoma. The hospital gave her the wrong stoma bag, so she kept leaking every time. Every 10 minutes she'd leak. That lasted for about 2 months. They just said, no, everything's fine. Then she went to the stoma appointment and they said, oh, no, you had the wrong bag, sorry. So she went through hell with that, Ian. Poor girl, poor hell. And then what happened was she started chemo again. Thank God, because I learned at that point she had to have chemo because I could see her slowly dying in front of me because the cancer was just growing again. She had another round of chemo, and then she had another good scan, and then it comes to booster time again. And I said to her, Rachel, you're not going to get the booster, are you? She was like, no, absolutely not. I promise you I'm not. I had to drop her off at their treatment centre because I had to look after my sons, I was with her most of the time, but this time I couldn't be. And then she come out and said, no, Rob, I've got to get the booster. The oncologist, the nurses, everyone's telling me I have to get another booster. They said, if I don't get it, it's stupid. I have to get another booster. This is what infuriates me, Ian. And then everything was going well. The chemo was really bad, but no one ever thought Rachel was going to die, go down this illicit quick. I was like, please don't get it. She said, I've got to. The oncologist, the nurses, these people are nice people here, and I'm not anti them, but it was like, oh, for God's sake. She got a booster, and then she went downhill again. She died within 3 months after the booster, but things seriously went downhill. What happened was she had the booster, then we went to Centre Parks for my birthday 3 weeks later, and she had a swimming costume on, and I could just see her belly was swollen again. Yeah. I was like, oh no. So that's the booster. Her liver was just swollen again, and she looked pregnant again. And then everything went downhill again after the bloody booster. And then she died 3 months later. She died in my arms at the house.
What I find remarkable is that the treatment you said was basically already palliative care.
Yeah, it was palliative care, yeah.
So why... My big question is, why on earth would you then start injecting someone with a COVID booster for someone who's already in palliative care?
Yes, exactly. I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. But they're brainwashed, Ian, these people. They're not like the oncologists and the nurses. They were such nice people at this centre. But she got basically coerced into getting it again. And then things just went downhill again. And she just like, you know, I just slowly watched her die. It was awful over the coming months.
Do you think the consultant and the nurses are also coerced themselves in a way? Do you think that...
They must be. Because, I was like, yeah, and then and then what happened was during Rachel's cancer treatment, so I'm going off the subject of vaccines, she wouldn't let me talk to anyone at the centre about alternative stuff. So what I done was, I printed off loads of scientific papers about stuff you can do to help cancer.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to someone very high up at the centre, and I showed her all the papers, and she said, it's not black or white, Rob. Cancer treatment and cancer stuff isn't black or white. You need to keep doing your research and do the alternative stuff. And this was 10, 11 months in when it was too late for Rachel. Yeah. So that obviously also infuriated me as well.
So you say the doctors treating her would not encourage you to look at alternatives? Is that true?
No, because they can't. There's this. I've since gone down so many learn about. They can't, Ian. There's this thing called a standard of care that they have to follow. I didn't know that at the time, so I thought if I went to them and asked them about this alternative stuff, they're just going to shoot me down. But they can only follow this standard of care procedure. If they go out of that, they get struck off. And I only learned that 11 months in, which is highly frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what happened after that. So she's now the liver's now
the liver's enlarged, and then it was just like I could just see her belly. She just kept she's just got more and more swollen. It's a miracle. So she died 3 months later, but she was just things were going downhill. The chemo was just it was working, but it was just taking her longer to recover from it. It was just awful. She went seriously downhill. Then we got to February time, and then it was just she was dying, and it was horrible to see. And then she went into hospital for 8 days, and what happened in that hospital was so bad. The treatment she got, they were too busy. They put a catheter in her because her kidneys were failing, and the catheter was half out, so she was getting pregnancy cramps. And I wasn't there because I had to come back for Lennon, obviously, and the nurses just left her. She was screaming in pain.
Wow. Because
the doctors were on strike. Then I went the next day and said, why did you not take it out? The nurses said we couldn't, we had to wait for a doctor. And Rachel was sending me voice notes just screaming in pain because they didn't have the catheter in right. So that she went in hospital for 7 days, and then 7 days is what really progressed things on. And then it got to the end of them 7 days, and she was so swollen. Bless her. And then they sort of said, look, there's nothing more we can do. And they said because they said, what do you want to do? And Rachel just wanted to come home and be with her boys. So then she come home and she just stayed in the bedroom for the next 3.5 weeks. We got married in the bedroom, which was lovely. So we got married on the last days of her life. But that was also tough, juggling the boys and Rachel being in the bedroom. It was extremely tough. And then another thing that happened was I had Lennon here, and Rachel was choking on her sick one night. So I called the nurses, I need all the help they can get. They come out and they couldn't give Rachel any drugs because a form hadn't been filled out.
And were these hospital nurses or Macmillan nurses?
Like
or
district nurses.
District nurses.
Because the doctor from the hospital hadn't sorted like any of the medication out. So I had Lennon in the house and Rachel basically choking on her sick in the other room. It was really bad. It was extremely stressful, but she wanted to be at home. That was fine. She got married and then obviously she died, which was very tough.
I'm so sorry, mate. Really am.
Yeah,
sorry.
But what happened was, near the end of her life, the nurses kept saying, she's waiting for someone. She's waiting for someone. I was like, there is no one. There is no one. Then I thought, oh my God, it's me.
Yeah.
It's me. So then I went in. I was going in and seeing her and cuddling her. And then I just said to her, I said, Rachel, baby, you need to let go now. I love you so much. I'll be right next to you, but you've got to let go. And then what happened was, it's really funny. She was in and out of consciousness and she just went, oh. And then I was so tired and I fell asleep next to her. Then I woke up about 2:15 in the morning and she took her last breath from me cuddling her. So, yeah. And then she died. And then my amazing mum was looking after Bobby in the day but was staying here in the nights to help with Lennon. And obviously she knew it was going to come. Then my amazing mum got up and helped me get her dressed. And then, yeah. That's how it ended.
Well, all credit to you for the love you showed her right the way to the end.
It was hard, and obviously I loved her dearly. I'm so thankful that she had me next to her. But my frustration is, Ian, let's say it's a 1% chance that the vaccine caused this hell for me and my family. 1% chance. I think it's a lot more. Then it's not acceptable.
Yes.
And I saw her go downhill after that booster. People keep telling me, oh, she probably had the cancer anyway. Yeah, perhaps she did. That doesn't give me any comfort how much she went downhill after getting coerced into getting them boosters.
So after she's passed away, and you've got all that devastation to deal with. You've got the kids to sort out and family.
But what I was doing, and when she was dying in the coming weeks, I was trying to get her cancer tested. I called Professor Angus Dalgleish. I called doctors in London because I thought I need to try and get the cancer out of her now, or a blood test to try and prove I think the booster done this. But a lot of them were like, no, you need to bring her to that centre. You need to bring her to the place to try and get it done. But I was like, it wasn't going to happen here. And then I thought about getting an autopsy done on her. But it was just like, it was all happening all at once, if that makes sense. Because at this point, I sort of knew what the vaccine, I believed what the vaccine, even Rachel was saying it in the end of her life, you know what I mean? She believed it was that as well. But I just couldn't do it. But yeah, so then, I was trying to organise a bit, just juggling it, or it didn't happen.
So did they perform a post-mortem or not?
No, they didn't. They didn't. Hindsight, I should have pushed for it, but it was so much going on, Ian. I had the boys here and that. You know, if I could go back, I would have pushed for one.
And was there an inquest or anything?
No, nothing like that, no. Rachel just died of cancer. That's the way they see it. Rachel just died of cancer.
So the
but
certificate...
what's happening is, Ian, the only bit of evidence I have, which I think is going to help me, is that at the start of her cancer journey, they'd done a biopsy of her liver cancer. And I found a clinic in Germany that will test it to see if it's got the AstraZeneca, to see if it's got any of the vaccine in it. So at this minute, I'm getting that release from the hospital so I can send it to Germany to try and prove if it's in her cancer or not.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's a terrible story.
Yeah, but people die of cancer. I understand that. Young people die of cancer, and I understand this. But when you hear James Rowe and Professor Angus Dalgleish saying what I saw, it makes it a bit hard. If we didn't take away the vaccines, my grieving's a lot easier, Ian. I'm a lot more at peace. I know that chemo is not good, it's bad, and all of that. But at that minute in time, take away the vaccines, this is a lot easier. I'm a lot more at peace.
Yeah, but also you're in the situation where you know other dads as well that have been through the same situation.
Four other dads. And I went to the COVID inquiry. David Plummer's the one. He's set up this turbo cancer website that he's set up. And I met him through that. And then there's four other dads. All wives have died in exactly the same similar circumstances and the exact same timeline. And the weird thing is, all of them had just had a baby as well.
Yeah. And you've also got so many others, as you know. I mean, I've interviewed plenty that, you know, different circumstances, but you know, the common denominator has been that they've taken the jab and a booster.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's not just my dad now, who lives in Germany. He's got stage 4 cancer. My mate's mum died quickly from lung cancer. I have another mate whose brother died from cancer. And sometimes I think just because Rachel died of cancer, perhaps I'm seeing it more. But it's everywhere.
Please consider donating to the UKMFA. We are really grateful for all donations, no matter how small. Your donations enable us to continue to lobby for your right to informed consent and medical freedom to be upheld, and to provide resources to educate and empower the public. There are multiple options for donating. One is that you can scan the QR code that's on this video right now, or you can go to the link that is featured in the description below this video, or you can go onto our website and contribute via donor box, or you can buy us a coffee. So you went to the inquiry. What did you think of the way the inquiry was conducted?
Infuriating. It made me so angry. I promised my mum and my family that I wouldn't get up and shout. And that's the only reason that stopped me from getting up and screaming at them. I thought it was so cocky. The day that I went, I would have gone every day, but obviously I'm a full-time dad now. It's not how, but the day that I went was Whitty and Van Tam, and the way they were talking, infuriating. They were sort of saying, no, we never said it was safe. No vaccine's safe. No vaccine's safe. This is the way they were talking. It made me so angry. And Chris Whitty's saying, yeah, you know, we had no data on pregnant women getting it. So pregnant women shouldn't have got it. If they decided to get it, he was using language like that. It's fine, Rachel did decide to get it, but with them figures, she was doing it to protect Bobby. And then they said about kids getting it as well. Whitty was like, well, there's no real benefit from the children getting the vaccine. He said that. Did parents get told that? No. Parents were still brainwashed from them getting it, so then they lined their kids up to get it. But what they done was, which made me even more angry, when that inquiry was blocked out, because you had the Trump inquiry, then they also delayed the trial of them, you know, what happened to them poor kids in that, you know, that got stabbed. Yes. So the news didn't cover the inquiry at all. No. If people actually knew what they were saying, they'd be furious.
Well, our organisation's been part of, you know, obviously the People's Vaccine Inquiry.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw obviously Liz, Dr. Claire Craig, Professor Andrews all getting interviewed before it. They're saying it needs to stop, but they're just ignoring it, Ian. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's infuriating, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be just the government. It's the agencies that are around the government as well. So
it's everyone. It's just ignore it. Just complete. They're not releasing like the cancer. They used to release all the cancer like data. They haven't released it since I think 2022, or someone told me, or 2020. No data's been released since 2022.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that they're covering something. But the thing, I'm not stupid, Ian. We went through a pandemic. We all make mistakes. Do you understand? I appreciate that, but it's just the way they're just ignoring it.
Have you looked at compensation? Is there any compensation you as a family
can
get?
I've gone to these lawyers, and they're looking at the case, but they're more interested, could the cancer have been caught earlier? When I said to them vaccine and all of that, they were like I was talking a foreign language. They're not interested, but this is why I've got to try and get the biopsy tested. Yeah. And then I can prove it. Perhaps it's not going to be in there, Ian, but it might give me some peace. But I just saw her go so downhill from it. And these other dads all had the same story.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And as more and more stories come out, of course, just circumstantial evidence, if you like, starts to build, doesn't it? You know. And
Rachel's cancer didn't have a genetic mutation. I don't know into that at all, but apparently that's quite strange as well. Then that's to do with the turbo cancer that I've heard these doctors talk about. There's no genetic mutation in the cancer.
Right. And what was her fitness like beforehand? I mean, was she very active?
Absolutely fine, normal. She used to go out with Lennon all the time, because I worked, you see. Rachel's a stay-at-home mum, but that worked well for us. I worked as a builder 5-6 days a week, and Rachel looked after Lennon, but she was fine.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with her as far as I know.
Wow. Okay. I mean, is there anything else you want to add at the moment, whilst we sort of wrap that part of it up?
No, not really. Just infuriating. And one thing I will say as well, before doing standard of care cancer treatment, do your own research. Just do your own research. Find people that have survived it and done it. Still do chemo. I'm not saying don't do chemo, but there's so much more you can do to help with your treatment, and do it. I wish I could go back to when I got told Rachel had stage 4 bowel cancer. You're in a lot more control than what they make out you are. What you eat and what you do and all of that will help you on your journey. Whereas they say chemo, radiation, surgery, that's the only options. Anything else is quack, which is in 2025, that should not be how it is.
No, and there are a lot of naturopathic medicine doctors out there that will give you alternatives and different ways to deal with these problems.
So you have to attack it from every angle.
Yeah.
I didn't realise this till 6 months in. It's fine just doing the chemo, but you have to. There's a lot more, you have to attack it from every angle possible: stress, emotion, sleep, diet. But they don't tell you that. They just tell you, just do the chemo. When you go into when you go into the cancer centre, they're giving out all cakes and that. And once you learn what fuels cancer, that's almost criminal.
Yes. And so have you formed an opinion of the service that you were offered in that sense? So, how has it left you feeling about that whole experience with the hospital, the hospitals and the consultants and the nurses?
Well, what happened was, obviously, I'm the biggest. I will never do standard of care treatment ever. From all the research I've done, obviously people do their own stuff, but I won't ever do it. But I was very angry about Rachel. I despised the NHS. I thought it's the most disgusting, how I felt. But then what happened at Christmas, my baby boy was really ill and he got put in intensive care, and that completely, not luckily that happened, but then I saw how beautiful the NHS is, and they saved his life. So I know how I felt about the NHS. It's evil, they just take money out of it, it's a business, but actually that was the best thing that happened to me, because I saw how beautiful the NHS can be as well.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there's a balance there, and it's probably where they get it wrong. That's where they need to focus their energies on, how they're going to put that right, and serve people properly, and not follow narratives. Go back to being real doctors, because I think half the problem, from what I can see and what I've gleaned from various interviews and the people that I work with now, is that the doctors are following a protocol that they have been given as a narrative from above, and then they follow it to the letter because that's what they're told they have to do to keep their jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And
sorry, Ian.
I was just saying, if they revert back to the old-fashioned doctors that all knew us personally and knew us holistically, and if we became ill, they usually had a very quick clue as to what the problem was, and could deal with it effectively. But if they go back that way, they're criticised and taken before the General Medical Council, and then lose their jobs.
They get struck off. It all has to change.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm gonna go down this route, Ian. But my oldest son is autistic. He's the most beautiful little boy. I love him dearly. He's lovely. But autism's through the roof, Ian.
Yes.
Why? What is causing autism? What is it that's causing autism? Don't just say, oh yeah, it's 1 in 30 now, it's going to be 1 in 20. What's causing it? Let's get to the bottom of what's causing it. That also drives me crazy. You might want to edit that bit out, but that drives me up the wall as well.
I don't think so. No, I'd leave it in, because I think it's important to say it, because what you're feeling, I think, is what a lot of us are feeling, and that's indicative of treating symptoms and not causes.
Yeah, exactly.
So what they're saying is it's okay to have 1 in 30 or 1 in 20 with autism, because we can treat it this way, and we've got special, we can give them this drug, or we can put them in this centre, or whatever it may be, or put them into special needs, or whatever it might be that they think they need, but they're not thinking about what caused it in the first place.
What caused it? And it drives me crazy. They're just like, no. And they keep saying it's not the childhood vaccines. That's fine. If it's not that, what is it then? Like cancer, they keep saying 1 in 2, 1 in 2, 1 in 2. Yes.
Yeah.
Why is it 1 in 2?
Yeah.
Why is it? It just drives me crazy, and as you can tell, rather than just say these figures, let's get to the bottom of it. No, Lennon, is the most gorgeous boy. I love him dearly, but he takes up a lot of me. He needs a lot of me. And until you have an autistic child, it's very challenging. He's still non-verbal, but there's a lot to it. And just to say, oh, it's not this, it's not that. What is it then?
Yeah.
I'm going to think it's vaccines because of what happened to Rachel.
Mm. Well, it's a let's just say it's a fair assumption to make, just because of your experience, isn't it?
And he went down, and Lennon I would perceive as going well until he got his vaccines. But I don't know, but this is what happened to Rachel has done to me. It's opened up a whole can of worms in my head.
Well, I'm a former police officer, so I'm all about evidence. And so to me, if someone says something isn't doing something, well, show me the evidence of that too.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have the evidence just on one side and say, oh, we haven't got the evidence that this is causing this. But likewise, you say, well, okay, well, show us the evidence that it isn't causing it.
That it's not, and that's what they say. I've seen and there's this famous doctor, I can't remember his name, and 20 years ago, he said it was the MMR vaccine that's causing it, and he got struck off.
Right.
Andrew Wakefield, that was his name, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's an anti-vaxxer, and now he's coming round and he's explaining it. What happened to him? He spoke out against that system and they struck him off, and that's what happened during COVID, wasn't it? Anyone spoke out against it, you was an anti-vaxxer, you lost your YouTube page, not that I've got one, they shut you down, and that's how they treated it, and that's what they done to Andrew Wakefield, whereas now he's coming out and it's true what he was saying. Well, his evidence is pointing towards that way.
Well, it's interesting that shutting down is still happening now, because we've had a few videos pulled down just because of some of the words we've mentioned.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, this one might not stay up on YouTube. I don't know. We'll give it a run and see. But,
cheers. Well, you can always edit out if you want. Sorry, I went down.
No. It's fine. No, I'm published and be damned me, to be honest with you. And we've got Rumble and other channels as well, so we can be found. Where we're not edited and not cancelled, so it's absolutely fine.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah. No, we get the word out there. Okay, so what's life for you now? I mean, it must still be
well,
quite
I'm a
hard,
full-time dad. I'm so lucky. I love the boys so much, Ian, but I was working all the time. This is all new to me. My amazing mum, I stay 50% owner with my mum. My mum's life has stopped looking after. She's got 3 of me living with her at some point, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
but she's been amazing. She took Bob on, and my sister, my brother, Rachel's mum, they're all just coming in and helping me. But at the minute, I'm just a full-time dad. I organised to go back to work, had it all sorted, couldn't wait to go back. Bobby was ill. Bobby had a stomach bug. And then the next month, I was like, right, going to go back to work, all sorted. Lennon was ill. I know this is normal stuff, Ian, that single parents deal with, but my brain still isn't functioning right, and I felt like I was letting work down, but I'm hoping to go back to work in the coming months. Just need to get the boys sorted. It's just so full on with both the boys.
You don't have to answer this question because it's personal, but I just wondered how on earth you survive financially then if you can't work.
We're extremely lucky that Rachel's mum during her treatment helped us out big time, and at the minute I'm on universal credit.
Right, okay.
Just this minute in time, but I'm planning to go back to work. This is the first time I've ever been on it in my life. I'm not proud of it, I'm not happy about it, but I'm planning to hopefully go back to work in the coming months.
But I think that people need to understand that as well, you see, because it's the circumstances that led you to this are bad enough as it is, but it's also then how do you survive as a single dad at this point? And if the shot was the cause of this, well, that really you should be compensated all the way through. From my perspective. But they've got immunity from prosecution, and they've got
Completely.
immunity
The only
from.
way I can prove this, Ian, is getting that biopsy tested. That's the only way. I've got to send it to Germany. They've got to release it. I'm in the process of doing it now. I've just sent the consent papers and get it sent to Germany, and just pray. Not pray, but there's some sort of evidence in there. There's a clinic.
I'm guessing that's a cost to you as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a cost. Yeah, it's going to cost €1,000, I think.
Wow.
But that money is priceless. That money it's worth it. Because I was thinking, should I hold on and wait? But I don't think the government are just going to admit to this, are they? They're not just going to say, yeah, we made a mistake. Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
So I get it tested, but it's not even about money here. No amount of money is going to mend this. £1 billion doesn't fix what my boys have lost, what I've lost, what I've been through. Money's irrelevant. Before all of this, all I done was chase money, Ian. I worked so hard, earn as much as I could, more money, but now it's like it's irrelevant what we've been through. No amount of money. Any amount of money, if I did get offered any, would offend me, because it's disgusting what I saw poor Rachel go through.
Yeah. Well, Rob, look, I'm really grateful for your time.
Thanks for having me, Ian. Thanks so much for having me on.
No, not at all. Is there anything you wanted to finish up with?
No, not at all. Just thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for Liz Evans for organising this and getting my story out there.
No problem at all. And we'll stay in touch. And if you ever want to come on again because there's an update you want to give us, if you get a result from the biopsy, then fabulous. Let's talk about that, and you'll be welcome on any time.
Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you so much for giving me your time and giving me your platform.
Please sign up to receive our newsletter, and you'll be notified of UKMFA campaigns, open letters, calls to action, and any important updates. You can do this on our website at ukmedfreedom.org. That's ukmedfreedom.org.